Hey, what's up? This is Slam and Sammy. I wanted to get on here and talk about the first 3 days in the NBA for the 2019 season. Whoa, there was some serious stuff going on these past few days. And I just want to recap a couple of things I saw that made me shake my head. Number one, the Lakers and Clippers game, opening night. Wow, what a game. What an entertaining game. Those are two teams that are just awesome. I really, really liked watching those two teams play against each other. And it was nice to see LeBrownie go down. And, the Clippers, what? That team is rocking, man. They just smoked the Warriors last night, too. They pretty much beat up on LA. Very, very impressed with that team so far. The Clippers, they have a deep bench. That's, one of the things I noticed with the Warriors back when they were doing really well up until last year, they always had a deep bench. They had a really good bench. Not so much last year, and that's why it cost them. Even though the injuries, they had some injury issues last year, definitely hurt. Durant being out, and I still believe if Clay had finished that game, the one he went down on, he was playing out of his mind. They probably would have sent it to a seventh game. I'm not saying they would have won, but I'm saying they lost by 1 point. And Clay went out and missed most of the fourth quarter. So, leave it what it is. I really think he was playing so well, they would have won that game. But anyway, the Warriors, when they were strong, really strong. They had a great, great bench. Not the last year. And what did I see in the Clippers in these first two games? A tremendous bench. They've got some serious players coming off the bench that are doing really well. And that's what I've noticed, that there's really no drop-off when they go from their first-tier players to their second-tier. Of course, we know they have Lou Williams, who is Mr. Six-Man, shoot the lights out of the sky all the time kind of guy. I mean, he's pretty amazing. He really is. The guy stuns me. He just continues to do it. Doc Rivers got one hell of a team there. The Clippers, in my eyes, with the defense they have and what they're doing, probably the biggest thing I noticed in the first 3 days was that team's legit. Okay, they're depending on what it's always about injuries. It always is. Whoever gets injured, who doesn't, that always happens every year. If they stay healthy, even if they don't, I mean, Paul George isn't even playing right now. He's one of their better players. He's not even playing. And this team's kicking it. They're kicking it. They're awesome. So what else did I see in the first 3 days? The Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers. Oh, my gosh. It was like watching paint dry. So many fouls. So ridiculous. It drove me crazy. That game was so boring. I had a really hard time watching that game. And I was really excited about it. I grew up in New England. I'm from Maine. And, I was always a Celtics fan growing up. I did change over when Steph Curry joined the league. I'm going to be honest here. When Curry came in the league, I jumped over the bandwagon before they were any good. I started following Curry and started watching Golden State before they were anybody. And, his first 2 years, if you know about basketball, he was on the sidelines. He busted up his ankles. He wasn't playing that much. He barely played half the season, both his first 2 seasons. But then anyway, we know the story from there. He came on to be one of the greatest shooters of all time. He ripped up the whole 3-point thing. He set his own records until Harden finally caught up a little bit. But for 3 years in a row, Steph Curry broke the 3-point record. So anyway, the Celtics-Philadelphia 76ers game, good Lord, that was just brutal. It was brutal, really tough to watch. But anyway, I think the Celtics are going to be pretty decent. I really do. I think I don't know what happened in that game. I don't know. It's just one game, and it's just the first few days of the NBA season so far. And I'm excited for it because there's a lot of parity. Yeah, my team's not going to be very good. They'll be lucky to make the playoffs this year, the Golden State Warriors. I'll be watching a lot of the Celtics games. I see what they're going to do. And I'm really kind of excited because the league's kind of balanced out, especially in the West. Things are crazy. I mean, you've got bringing up another game, the Houston game last night in Milwaukee. I don't know what's going to happen with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. I really don't. I mean, James Harden and Russell Westbrook play two completely different styles of basketball, and it didn't look very good last night. And what the heck happened to James Harden going 2 for 13? Seriously? He hasn't shot that bad since ever. The dude was just off. I don't know. Maybe he just, I don't know. I've got some serious reservations about what's going on there with that team. I don't think it's going to work. I really don't. I might be wrong. And those guys might work it out. But, when I see Russell Westbrook get the ball and go up and down the floor in 3 seconds and dump it off for a pass, and then James Harden's Mr. Methodical, let me stand out front and play with the ball and make some juke moves and do a step back three, and take 20 seconds off the clock while I'm dribbling the ball. It's completely different styles of basketball, and I just don't know how that's going to blend. I think it's going to blow up in their face. I really do. I don't think it's going to work. But we'll see. We'll see. That was a disaster, though. The end of that game, Giannis goes out with 5 minutes to go. Okay, he goes out with 5 minutes to go. He fouls out of the game. The Bucks had come back from 16 down, taken the lead in the fourth quarter. There's 5 minutes to go. They're up by 6, and Giannis is fouled out, the best player. I'm like, oh, well, Bucks gave it a good shot, but yeah, they're done now. Hello? No? What? I couldn't believe what I saw. I couldn't believe it. Nobody for the Rockets stepped up. There was no leadership. Nobody taking control of that game. And they lost. Without Giannis on the floor. How does that happen? On the road. They were in Houston for that game. So I was kind of amazed. So anyway, it's been a crazy 3 days. It really has. The first 3 days of the NBA has been nuts. We've got a lot of different teams out in the West that are going to be competing that are all high level. The Clippers have me right now as, wow, they're deep, they're solid, their defense is great. They shot 63% against the Warriors last night and jacked up 141 points. 141 points, 18 threes. That's some pretty serious numbers. The Clippers last year were very interesting. Now you had Kawhi. Now you had Paul George, who isn't playing yet. You've got guys that can play 10, 11 deep that are all decent players. Look out. I don't see people knocking off the Clippers. I really don't. Good luck with that. They're 2-0. I think they're going to be right up there, depending on how the whole Kawhi thing goes. And how does Paul George come back from the injury? And does he disrupt what's there? Sometimes that happens. I don't know about Paul George. He's a solid player, but I just don't know how he fits in the locker room. Speaking of, the whole locker room thing with Kyrie Irving. What a pile of crap that dude is, okay? I'm sick of him. I was so glad when he left the Celtics. I never wanted him in the first place, okay? His whole, the world is flat, the earth is flat. Why don't you go jump off the end of the earth or something, man? Seriously. Really? You tell the Celtics you want to play for them forever, you're going to re-sign with them, and then you don't. And then you tell us yesterday, oh, I was never going to do that. And then he tells people up front, but a year ago, he's like, oh, yeah, I want to be a Celtic for life. Yeah. Whatever, dude. Seriously? Come on, man. Come on. He dumps 50 for the Nets and they lose. Whatever. I don't know how that's going to work out either. I'd be surprised if Brooklyn makes the playoffs. They were a better team last year without him. I think he's not a good fit for any team just because of who he is. I don't know. He's going to have to change some things to win me over because he's probably never going to win me over at this point anyway. I think he's got some great handles. He's a great ball player and all of that. But seriously, dude, I don't know. I don't like people that say one thing and do another. He said he was going to – and I'm glad he's not a Celtic, quite frankly. He seems to be not too good to be around for other players. I think that was a big issue last year for the Celtics. I still don't know where the Celtics are going quite yet. They lost a lot. The loss of Horford was bigger than I thought. They really missed him the other night, and there seemed to be there was some fluid issues, and that game was just over-reffed and fouled, and it was just too much anyway. Hopefully we don't see too much of that kind of basketball. It drives me crazy. There's like 50 fouls in a game. You're just like, oh, come on, man. Every 3 seconds there's a foul being blown. And watching Houston last night, just wrapping up here and watching Houston last night was kind of cool. Watching James Harden just kind of melting down in that game. He melted down. And is very, very he just didn't have it. They didn't have it. I don't know. Again, back to Houston. It's going to be interesting to watch them moving forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with that combination of those two. I just don't think those two are going to sync together and work well. I just don't. Even though they played together earlier in their career, they're very two different players. And there's really no leadership there. I don't think I don't think either James Harden or Russell Westbrook is really like a leader style. They can do tremendous things on the floor, but as far as being a, kind of the shape up and ship up kind of LeBron, where he slap you upside the head kind of guy and say, come on, man, or Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce back in those days where they took Rondo and threw him up against the locker and says, get your stuff together. I just don't see it. I don't see it either one of those guys. I don't know. So you've got to have that on a team. You've got to have somebody that stands out and leads your team. And it's sorely lacking in a lot of teams, I think, in the NBA. There's a lack of leadership. Maybe it's the money. Maybe it's the business. Maybe it's the shoe deals. I don't know. I just don't see it. I see some players that are in that mold. I think Giannis is a good example. I see him as a leader on his team. Maybe not the boisterous kind of leader, but he seems to be a leader. I really like him as a player and as a person too. And there are some good guys, and there's some guys in the NBA that whatever, like the Kyries of the world. Great ball player, but as a personal, get along with other players on your team kind of guy, I don't see it. We've seen that in the past with Dwight Howard. Okay, here's a guy, physical specimen that should have gone and had a phenomenal career, but he's a head case. And Carmelo Anthony, another head case. So you see him over time, these different players who are they just don't fit. They don't work out. And I just got this feeling that, even when Kevin Durant comes back with the Nets, there's going to be an issue there. There's going to be a problem. I don't think it's going to work. Neither one of those guys are leaders. And, they may win some games, just on sheer talent. But as far as gelling together, I don't know. Good luck with that. So the season's gotten off to a great start. It's been fun. I'm going to be doing a lot of lives this year. I hope you'll follow some of them and subscribe to this channel and get involved and put comments in and talk. And I'll be getting fancier with my lives as I go along and do some cool stuff and bring in some videos and graphics and things like that. I just wanted to get on here today and shoot my mouth off about what I've seen in the first 3 days, what I liked, what I didn't, what I'm surprised about. I thought the TNT broadcast last night was pretty interesting with the whole thing with China, and Charles Barkley telling Mike Pence to shut up. That was pretty. He's pretty bold, dude. Sometimes Barkley irritates me, but the dude tells it like it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and you'll subscribe to my channel and NBA Chat Live. And I think as the season goes on, one of the things I really would like to do is find a group of people and do live webinars, a wide live webinar room. Maybe we can share a game and talk about it as it's going on, or just get in there and each have our turn shooting our mouths off about the game, coming up on camera and talking some schmack about b-ball and what we see and what we don't, as long as we keep it clean. That's cool with me. Don't want to get into any of the F-bombing and all the negativity, but certainly talking some smack would be fun and it'd be a good time. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and you'll subscribe and we'll see more of you. This is Slam and Sammy. I'm checking out.